Good morning, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Jumpstart Monday. We are broadcasting live on Facebook, LinkedIn, and YouTube. Please send us a message to see that you are here. And if you like this episode, please share it whilst it's live or whilst you're watching it recording so we can reach more people. Today's topic is a very interesting topic. It's about becoming a more convincing and engaging speaker or communicator. Well, very recently, we had the Address for Success workshop where we were talking about engaging communicators. And we came up with Sophia with three important pillars to become one. But before I deliver the three pillars, let me tell you something that we're not going to talk about within the three pillars, but it is as important, if not more important. If you talk about a topic that's close to your heart, if you talk about a topic that resonates with you, and if you talk about a topic that you fully command, then you immediately become a more engaging and convincing communicator, even if you're talking in a language that you don't fully command, and even if you make grammatical mistakes. So if you talk, as I said earlier, for a topic that's close to your heart, it's your heart doing the talking. You become more emotional and not your mouth doing the talking, because your mouth is more rational, your heart is more emotional. And if you start with your heart, then you will win them over on a rational level as well. So before I bring on our first tip for the day, let me bring on Sophia. Good morning, Sophia.
Good morning, Michael. Good morning, everyone.
Hope your week started well.
It did,
And,
yes.
and great. And let's start with the first tip. Tip number one on becoming a more engaging and convincing communicator or speaker is build on what worked in the past. As I said at the beginning, we recently ran the Address for Success public speaking workshop. That was on the 24th of May. Sophia came all the way from Switzerland to be present, and we had another 16 professionals. One of those professionals was the CEO of a very prominent company that has over 150 employees in 6 different countries. He came to the Address for Success to prepare for his speech for their town hall. They run the town hall twice a year, every 6 months. He wanted to tell them what happened in the last 6 months and what should happen in the next 6 months. Let me tell you how this gentleman chose to start his speech. I'm going to read verbatim what he said to our audience, our safe audience inside the Address for Success. He started like this. Unless we start generating opportunities this year, early enough in the year, we will be sitting ducks by January 2023. Based on our CRM, he's talking about the system now, our average sales cycle is between 4 to 6 months. And then he delivered his punchline. We had our best year ever this year since 1971, since the year they were founded. I looked at the audience at the time he was saying this, and they leaned back instead of moving forward with interest and enthusiasm. And I immediately stopped him. I told him that if he wants his audience, if he wants to increase his chances of becoming more engaging and more convincing, he should start on a positive note. I gave him the time to think about his speech, and this is exactly what he said. I'm reading again verbatim on what he said. This was his second try, and listen to this. Perfectly planned, perfectly executed by every single one of you. From the management to the owners to the leaders of this company, I want to tell you how proud we feel for the efforts that you put into the business. This year was our best year ever since 1971. The audience leaned in with interest. The audience resonated with his message, even though it wasn't his employees. So my feeling is that in a few weeks when he's going to be delivering this speech, and because he opted to start with what our tip says, with what worked in the past, his chances of becoming a more convincing and engaging speaker will increase. Over to you, Sophia, with the second tip of the day.
Thank you, Michael. One of the most common situations in the workplace is where we have to convince our colleagues to follow procedures. I don't know about you, but I don't like to follow procedures. I prefer to cut corners and save time. So in one of my previous jobs, I was working at the airports in Swissport, and my task was to convince our staff to follow certain procedures. But I failed. In the beginning, I failed very bad. I thought just by explaining, people would follow the procedures, but it didn't work. So I resorted in blackmailing them. In other words, I told them, if we catch you not following the procedures, you're risking losing your job. And that
Wow.
worked a little bit. But we noticed that during the weekends when no one was looking, they were not following the procedures. So I was, researching to find the solution on how to convince them and communicate that they have to do this. And by chance, I received an email uh, from a customer with a video. And this video showed a young mother, a single mother, and her son. And it showed how her son was putting his swimming goggles every day because he was waiting for those holidays. And the mother was working two jobs because she was preparing for those holidays. So we showed that video in the next team meetings. And when the staff saw that, they understood the purpose of their job. They connected their job with their values. They saw the why, they saw the emotions. They understood that if they make a mistake and they damage the aircraft and the flight doesn't leave, that mother will have to stay overnight in a shitty hotel, for example. So the message is, sometimes or many times, if you connect your message with your values, if you connect with what is important and why you're doing this, people will relate and will understand. So that's my
Excellent
tip.
example. Excellent example, Sophia. And I like your Gary Vaynerchuk remarks with the shitty hotel. Love it. But it's true. It's very true. So we go to the third and final pillar. This is a pillar that I was longing to talk to you about. To be honest with you, when Sophia and myself were preparing this episode, I thought we would only talk about this one. But Sophia pleasantly surprised me with another two pillars. But this is the one. Please avoid double negative expressions if you want to be a commanding, convincing, and engaging speaker or presenter for that matter. What are the double negative expressions? Can I please have the presentation by tomorrow? No worries, no problem. Two negative words, don't make a positive one. No problem doesn't mean yes. No worries doesn't mean you will have it. I suggest if I ask Sophia, how's that restaurant in Switzerland? Because I'm coming to Lausanne, and she says to me, not bad. Chances are I will never frequent it. I won't go. If she tells me that's an amazing restaurant, try this dish, and there is a waiter by the name of Manuel, go and meet this guy, or he will come to you, then chances are that I will visit them. And if I like it, I will go back again and again, and the word of mouth will spread. So expressions, either double negative or single negative, like I will try, which means 50%, I will make it 50%, I won't, but I told you I will try. If I make it, I did it. If I haven't, if I can, I told you I'll try. I didn't tell you for sure. It's our policy, making life difficult for the students, making life difficult for the employees, making life difficult for the customers, but easy on us instead of thinking about philosophy, a win-win situation. All these expressions should be thrown out of the window. If you want to be a convincing and engaging communicator, as I said in the beginning, talk about something that's close to your heart, talk about something that you command, and talk about it in a positive manner. In recapping, build on what worked in the past. In other words, start positively. It's very important to start on a positive note. Any speech, any message, even a one-to-one message for someone that's sitting across your table. Secondly, connect your communication to your values, because if you connect to your communication to your values, and if the audience opposite you values what you value, then you have a better chance of delivering value to them and connecting with them. And last but not least, it's been many months and years I wanted to say this, two double negative expressions won't make a positive one. So express yourself positively. And over to you, Sophia, with any announcements or anything you want to say before I show some of the comments coming up.
Yeah, I love the way you talked about the negative expressions. Maybe two expressions we didn't mention is don't get me wrong. That means you're preparing the other person for facing a conflict. Or another one is to be honest, and you're preparing the person that you're going to lie to them.
That's true. An honest person doesn't have to say that they are honest.
Yes.
Correct?
Yeah,
Yes. I
exactly.
think it was Margaret Thatcher and Richard Penninger, you can correct me, who said, if a lady is a lady, she doesn't have to say that she's a lady. So no need to say honestly, trust me on that. And recently I had a case here at Virardi next to my office. Someone said, don't get me wrong, because they understood that the other person will get them wrong, because they understood that the way they were expressing themselves or the way they were coming across wasn't so positive or wasn't so pleasing to a win-win outcome.
Exactly. Exactly. Richard agrees. Ah, yes.
And but is also correct. Yes, if you're giving
Yes.
feedback, but means that what you want to say next is what you wanted to say from the beginning. If but yes, but is also yes.
Excellent. I wanted to say, I know many of you tell us that you're watching these episodes after we finish the live. So feel free to let us know in the comments what other expressions or what other ways you think uh, will improve the impact and will make you more convincing.
Very true, Sophia. And maybe they have some topics they would like us to discuss within the realm,
Ah,
as I said
yes.
earlier, of what we know best. Uh, it's good to have people on board telling us. If you like this episode, please share it. Just press share now, watching it live or whilst we are watching it recording. It's an honor if you do that, and we will appreciate it a lot. We want to grow our audience. We want to get more people on the show because then we exchange more ideas and we become more effective, convincing, and more engaging. Thank you to everyone. Thank you, Sophia, for preparing this episode, and have a great and productive week ahead, dear friends.